Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And as always, I date stamp this so that in the future I sort of know what day it was, what was going on, and so forth. A bit like a diary. So this is year 3, blog 19, or in legacy numbers, blog number 123. And it's dated 30th of the 6th, 2024. Yep, it's July next week, tomorrow even. So we're really now in the middle of the year and it's gone so quickly. And we're going to get the news out the way so that we can move more on to what my week has been like. Nothing much to report, really. So we always start off with the war. There was a couple of things here. It said Belarus deploys extra air defense forces to its border. Meanwhile, Ukraine Ukraine worked with the Vatican to help President Zelensky. Sorry, Ukraine worked with the Vatican to get release prisoners for the Ukraine. Yeah, that was interesting. I wrote it all down sort of like all gibberish, I'm afraid. I've not been particularly good at the news just recently. And President Zelensky admitted that the Ukraine had lost 80% of its thermal power and a third of its hydroelectric power since the war began. So those were the three interesting stories. It's so nice to hear about the prisoners. It didn't say whether they were prisoners of the war or whether they were prisoners going back quite far. The Vatican intervened. That was quite interesting to me. The extra air defense is just standard war stuff that's going on. You know, what one side will fire ballistic missiles, the other side will bring up extra defenses. We just wish the war would end, don't we? Really. So sorry that was a bit bitty. The UK sort of even less to report really because the election goes on. It's hindered at the moment because I believe there are 4 people now that are under scrutiny because of a gambling bet made around about the time that the election was forecast. So I think there are 3 ministers and a police officer. They all put bets on when the election would actually begin. They all stated July. That came true. But of course, like anything, if you've got inside knowledge, it's cheating. So they're under scrutiny. There's been more media woes for the England team and the England manager after the last group game. So, yeah, this week we had the last group game. England were always going to go forward. It was just whether they would be top of the table or not. But it was the table of boredom, most of the media has stated. I watched the games and I have to admit, pretty poor. But like a lot of pundits that were commentating on it, if one team plays defensively and you play defensively, then basically it's a boring game. You need flamboyancy. It seems very much that the other tables where the other teams were playing were much more flamboyant in their playing, going out for all-out scoring, which makes for much brighter games. Of course, the downside of that is you play too flamboyantly, you open yourself up on the defence and you'll let goals in. So Southgate has basically stated we're in an unusual situation where even if you win, you lose. Because they were throwing empty beer plastic glasses at him at the end of the game for their to show their hate, not the hatred, but show their disgust at how England are playing at the moment. Yeah, I get it, but like he said, you're damned if you win, you're damned if you lose. The next game is tonight at 8 o'clock. So of course, will I be watching? Yeah, of course. England's my team. Am I that invested in the football? Not really. If my father was around, I think I'd be more invested in it. He'd watch two flies go up the wall and bet on which one would win. In his head. It wouldn't go down the bookies, of course. But my father was into sport, no matter whether it was in the doldrums or whether it was in a high. So that's that. Glastonbury also opened this weekend, and it was reported that Coldplay's evening set last night was a complete success. And this is on the back that Cyndi Lauper was playing in the afternoon on the same day, and her set was beset with sound problems. Such a great shame. Cyndi Lauper, such a great history to that singer. And even I, in the past, bought albums and compilation albums as well. Like Now That's What I Call Music, and listened to those tracks, and they were definitely sort of like the better songs of some of those compilation albums. And next week, Wimbledon starts. Now, the big news in this has always been Andy Murray. What's going to happen, what's not going to happen. He had a back operation a couple of weeks back. He's always stated that he's hoping to play in Wimbledon. He does play in the singles. He does play in the doubles. The likelihood is you'll only see him in the doubles. If he does admit and start to play, and he's got till Tuesday, he'll be playing an unseeded player, which means it's a good start for him. It might be a more gentle start. So there is still the possibility that he'll be starting Wimbledon. And that's pretty much that. That was all I got for the news. And then we'll get to my week. And it's been a mixed week again. I'm quite happy, about things. There's been some stuff that really has pissed me off. So let's start. Well, Monday and Tuesday were a little bit dead, nothing really going on. I did my normal going to work, try to stay awake at night, watch the football on Tuesday evening, kept an eye on my phone for releases that are going to be coming out on movies in steelback format, because they always announce pre-orders. Now, what happened on Tuesday was that there is a re-release of Peter Jackson's King Kong in a special box set, not too expensive. It's a steelbook as well, that's limited to 2,000 copies. Now, I'm a member of this Facebook group that announces these releases, and it said it was live, but of course it went live very late Tuesday. I was in bed asleep. So when I woke up, Amazon had not launched their pre-ordered date on it yet, so you couldn't order it. Zavvi sold out in 15 minutes, and HMV sold out in 10 minutes. This caused a lot of speculation on Facebook on Tuesday in regards to scalpers. Yeah, that old word scalpers again. People that notice something has got a limited run on something or whatever, and start creating bots by the thousands, and then start buying things so that they can put it on eBay at inflated prices. So I kept an eye all the time on Amazon, and nothing happened on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, of course, it was launched again very late at night and sold out in 5 minutes. So that was me stuffed for that. And then, of course, Wednesday came and went. I went to Bicester, where my manager we did our one-to-one. He actually travelled from his home to mine, which is a good 80-mile drive, just to see me, ask how things are, any things that I wanted to highlight on improvements, which I obviously brought up the old one about training and how I don't seem to be moving forward very fast. But I did point out to him that I've just come out of an operation. I'm going for another one. My fatigue causes me problems in regards to concentration. And so complaining probably isn't the right thing to do at this exact minute. After my operation, full tilt to actually get this sort of thing changed. And he understood that. But he did ask me anything else that he thought that he could do. And I told him the best approaches is, instead of keep asking me what's the best way forward, how can we improve training and all of this sort of stuff, is to possibly go to HR and management and state that there are 3 analysts in my team. And if you were to put all 3 in a row and ask which one has the knowledge, which one doesn't have the knowledge, which one clearly, if there was a job opportunity for a manager, would you go for? The clear answer from everybody would be, I'd be last. And you could put some of that down to me being off for a year. You could put some of that down to slowness in getting me brought up to speed, which is what I've been going on about. So the question then to them is, if you recognize that all 3 of us can't do the job if one of us are off on holiday, how do we bring the person who's the weakest back up to speed? And then have them deliberate on what is the best approach. And I said that although that sounds like reversing it, we've gone 2 years now of you asking me the same question, what can I do to help you? And me coming up with the answer, which isn't working. So that was a nice day, really. I bought him his lunch. He'd travelled. I thought I can't not buy him a French stick roll of something or other from the local sandwich shop. I went into the charity shop and bought my mum some DVDs. Yes. I looked and I thought, what would my mum like? She likes dramas and she likes Heartbeat and that. I remember seeing on BBC 4 seasons of something called The Tudors, which is based on Henry VIII. And I know that when I talk to my mum about history, she's more susceptible to me talking about Queen Elizabeth I and Henry VIII than anything else. These DVDs were £1 each, so I got all 4 seasons for £4, and they're just DVDs. They're not Blu-rays nor anything, but that would be good enough for my mum. So for £4, she's got 40 episodes to watch, and I'm hoping that might help a little bit in the winter, because I'm going to move the DVD player from our second living room into the main living room, stick it underneath the TV, and then put some batteries in the remote and see if I can get my mum to be able to play, understand the menu system. That's going to be the hardest thing. Anybody that's of a certain age, and my mum is 83, and she's constantly coming up to me and can't turn the telly on sometimes. The Sky box will come on, but the TV won't. The TV will come on, but the Sky won't. And that's because she misses the point that there's one button that links them all. She only has to hold that one button down and they'll both come up. So she presses the power button on both of them, and that means turning one off while the other's powering up and all sorts of stuff. It's that sort of thing that causes my mum a problem. But Wednesday was fun. Really, in the evening, I did my live with Ian Hill, The Ramblings. And as I've always stated, please subscribe, to some of my friends and so forth. They do some wonderful things. Ian Hill, we'll talk about later on what he's come out with this week, but my God, he brings out some stuff. But we had a nice 4 to 5 hour chat on just about everything. We were talking TV, film, music, what's bothering us in regards to the news, what we think of the sport, all of that sort of stuff. Very interesting. Some of my friends showed up. So Mondo turned up and he asked some questions. We had Rock God come in later on in the evening, which was an amusement to us all and delighted everybody that was in the chat because we all know who Nige is. He wanted to warn us that in the back of his orders for Amazon, Amazon had removed 2 pre-orders and they haven't sent him an email yet to say they were cancelled. So we all sort of like decided while the broadcast was on, we'd look. So I looked at mine and lo and behold, 2 of my pre-orders from the Film Vault, which is a steelbook set of 7, I think it's 7 steelbooks, 2 of them had been removed and they were Jaws and Blade Runner. So I was very upset. Looking at the actual list, they said that they were unavailable. Yeah, I'd pre-ordered them. Looked at my email, no email yet to say that they were cancelled. Looked around, HMV sold out, Zavi sold out. You see, that's because they've been on pre-order for months, about 2 or 3 months. So everywhere was sold out. And we all found one at WH Smith. WH Smith, who knew that WH Smith would come to the rescue? Costing an extra tenner over what Amazon had. I managed to secure 2 copies of Jaws, one for Nige, one for me, and 1 copy of Blade Runner. And I told Nige, just pay me if those pre-orders do actually get met and I do purchase them, because they're still not going to come out until next month. He thanked me for that. I told him not a problem. It's not like you're not going to pay me, and if you get them from somewhere else, just give me time for me to cancel them. Some of these sites do say that they won't refund all of it if you cancel so late that, or if it's actually been sent, you can't cancel it anyway, and all sorts of other things. But my hope was that put a smile on Nigel's face, that the distress of his favourite film, Jaws, and his favourite, one of his favourite covers of all time, the picture cover on this steelbook, is now still on pre-order for him after he had lost it through Amazon. And by the way, just checking all the way every day up until today, they're still not available for me to order. They're still missing from my orders list, and I still haven't had an email. I think it's disgusting that Amazon can do that. I would still be, if I haven't checked my orders, under the impression those are ordered. That's the downside of it all. So yeah, so Wednesday didn't end on a great one. Thursday and Friday, not a lot sort of like happened. I was expecting to do a little video with Ryan for his coursework, just do some more about the VHS and Betamax days. But I take it he must have been busy, didn't get a call or anything. And Friday was all about the normality, really, of work. And in the evening, there is the obvious Friday waffle from Mamemeister, and the film chats ramp up on a Friday. And there are several that you can choose from. And I watched one for about an hour, but I wasn't feeling very energetic. I was falling asleep. My eyes were blurred, so I couldn't sort of like enjoy them. I listened as much as I could, like a podcast, but it's not really quite the same. So I got a good hour of probably a 6-hour stream, which is disappointing, but work is more important. And, I'm just hoping that things turn around a little bit. So there's a couple of things to take away there. I mean, how Amazon can actually cancel your orders and not tell you, I think is pretty atrocious. So that was the thing I think that hurt the most, really, was all of that going on and me not knowing. All these things that are going on in the background that make me think, is there anything else that's been cancelled? And I could spend hours and hours and hours on the phone going over old orders to see if they're still there. That's too much work. You should think to yourself, if you pre-ordered it, everything now in regards to your pre-order is in place, and anything that changes is going to come to you by email. So, I'm pretty disappointed, really. Health-wise, no real change. The work is ramping up, which means I'm getting tireder. It's still around about the 1:30, 2 o'clock time where it really becomes difficult for me. And I can't help but just tell you how disappointing it is that guys like yourselves can watch TV and not fall asleep. I want to watch, a football game or a one-off event. I've geared myself up to watch it. It starts. I wake up and it's ended. And I'm going, where did it go? What happened? Not good at all. Just trying to think what else. Oh, I got a code. There was somebody at work that told me that if I sent an email, he's heavily promoting media gear at the moment. And if you've got media at your heart, where you're doing recordings and stuff, and can prove, that there's a use for it, he's sending out free bits of kit. So I looked at this list and there was a teleprompter there. I've always thought to myself, what would my channel be like if I had a teleprompter? Because I wouldn't want to script anything, but I wouldn't mind having something that uses a remote where I can outlay what I want to talk about, put one single line and then talk about it based on that line, or write down some key dates or some key songs or something that my mind is expecting to do on the spur of the moment through most of the things that I do. So I told him about my channel. He was very interested. He came back the next day and said, yeah, you can have one. Gave me a code, went to Amazon, put the code in. It was listed as a purchase, sent to me. It's just here because I'm trying to work out where I'm going to put it. But this is a teleprompter. It's a mobile phone teleprompter. So the phone goes there, shines onto this glass, and the words scroll on your phone, and you can see the text. And it comes with a remote, so I can move up and down, move by paragraph, alter the scroll speed, left and right, all sorts of stuff. So that's all lovely. It's got a cutout at the back. I've put just some foam there at the moment and a piece of sellotape. You can bolt a camera on there or a mobile phone camera. It's got cutouts, foam cutouts that you plonk onto your phone, put into the back of this, and then strap on with these two straps that are on the side. I'm not using it at the moment, so obviously I've just inserted a black piece of foam. And that's it, really. You then got a teleprompter. Where do you put it then? So my camera is dead center, and the teleprompter is quite tall, and the gap between my two monitors, the one at the top there and the one that I'm reading off from down here, only has a gap of about that, top of that teleprompter and that, and this teleprompter's that. So it covers the bottom part of my monitor. And so therefore you've only got the options of something to the left, something to the right, or down on the ground. And if you're down on the ground, then basically you'll be looking down at the teleprompter and not at the camera. So I'm going to sort of like try and work something out. The only thing I did have to buy, it came with a tripod, but it was useless. I bought this tripod that's got bendy arms. And although it doesn't wrap onto anything behind my monitors, it does actually force weight pushing against the main beam of my monitor. It pushes the main weight against the wall, and it pushes the main weight against the back of the monitor. So when I put it between the two monitors, it basically, the weight causes no problems and it stays there. But as I said, it covers a corner of the monitor. So I've either got to move the monitor up or think of some other way of using it. But I am going to use it, and it'll be very handy for my movie capsule reviews or when I'm talking about my gaming history. So I'll be talking directly to the camera. Gone maybe are the days of this pad where I've now got 6 of these. All my notes, just like diaries, I've got a written transcript of everything I've done blog-wise. So, that's pretty much me for this week. Got that done in 26 minutes, so we'll move to the shout-outs. But before we do that, this week, it's been warm. My God, it's been warm. That might have a cause on some of the sleepiness because I don't have main windows that you can open up, just the top windows that you can open up. And I don't have a fan or air conditioning. So I've spent an awful lot of time in the evening purposely going out and just staying in the cold for about 5 or 10 minutes. And when I say cold, I mean the temperature that you'd get at about 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night, where the temperatures drop. And that's helped with sleep a little bit because it cools me down. So lovely weather, but the bad side of it is, for anybody that's got hay fever, they know exactly what this particular season does to them. And for me, being on the quite large size and with hypertension, I'm constantly feeling very warm, sweaty, hot. Almost like I'm going through I can only imagine what women go through in the menopause, where they say that their bodies change. I feel incredibly warm all the time. So, but would I give it up for anything? Oh, hell no. I'm so looking forward to being able to extend my walks. Whether that's going to be in time for me for the weather, I don't know. They said 8 to 12 weeks. So, of course, I think it's been about 5 weeks now. 5 weeks, I think, since my up. So we're 5 weeks in to the possibility of it being 8 to 12 weeks. So you'd think in the next couple of weeks I'd get a letter, saying this is the date we've put you in for. So fingers crossed. And thanks for anybody, by the way, that's really been nice and kept me on the straight and narrow when my mind has been all over the shop thinking about death and life and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to get to the shout outs now. So we are going to be moving forward. Not so many this week. I don't know if it's because of the weather. I don't know if it's because of YouTube deleting comments. Whenever a comment, but guys, just so that all the people know that do leave a comment or a question for me, if I've ever see your comment come through, I put a heart against it in a hope that the heart forces YouTube not to remove it. Yeah. If you don't get a heart, then the possibility is it never came through. I know that I spoke to Steve's Gaming because I wanted to know how he was getting on, and he stated that he'd left a message, and when I looked last night, it's not there. But he managed to send a snapshot of it, and I can read it out verbatim, but he assures me that he can see it, and I look at it and I can't. And so I've gone to my settings, and anybody that's left a comment in the last 6 months as a name, I've put you into the safe box, the box that says authorized users to your chat and channel. So basically, comments shouldn't go away. Now, Denny, Colin, Steve, they were already there. But people like Jambon and Martroid and that, they've all been added. Their comments have never gone away, really, but I've put them there in any case. So in a hope that this stabilizes this problem that I've got with YouTube. Anyway, as I said, shout outs. They are this week Carl Todd, Denny, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, LFC Gamer and Vlogs, Jim Jam Movies, Martroid, Rob's Retro Gaming, Bob Art, and Steve's Gaming. So as you can see, there's a couple of familiar ones there that I would normally get every week. Colin, Jambon, just to name a couple. Not there. No comments. Could be they're just too busy, and that I totally get. But to anybody that did leave a shout out, thank you very much. I do really appreciate it. It makes me feel wanted and needed. And of course, I love reading out your stuff, and I like answering your questions if you've ever got any. So just have a little drinky poo there. And we might as well straight away move into the comments. Going really well today. So these are in no particular order. The top one at the list at the moment here is Bob Art. Brilliant. So he's put, morning, Del. Just watching the last part of this today. That's last week's blog. I might need to watch Tango and Cash again, as it has been years since I've seen it. Anyway, question for today is, most of us know you like film scores and songs in movies a lot less. Yeah, basically what it is that a song that's in a movie is usually off of an album of a band that I can get off the album, or you can buy as a single. So when a film score comes out, I'm more interested in the score than I am the song. It doesn't mean that I don't like the song. It just means that I'm double dipping, because it's bound sure to be on Now That's What I Call Music or whatever it is compilation. And it means I've got the bloody track 5, 6, 7 times. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen with a score, is it? You know, you buy the film score, that's it. So anyway, he continues. But he says, what is a song that you like, which you discovered through a movie, if any? Wow. Now that's a really difficult one. Because if you think about what I've just said, there's been lots and lots of songs, you know, like Take My Breath Away, Footloose, all of these sort of stuff. Now, did I discover those by seeing the film before hearing the song? Or did I hear the song first? And if I go back into the 80s, I'd have a terrible trouble thinking I heard the song before I heard of the film. And I'm pretty sure I would have heard the song first. And the reason for that is 80s films were well known that in Britain we got the film later than America. America, therefore, would have released the song, and we would have known about that song through MTV, in the singles chart, etc., etc. They also would have released the single at the same time or before the film as a promotion. So, what songs have I discovered from just the film alone? And that therefore is tricky, isn't it? Because, you know, I mean, you've got to scrub an awful lot out, because they would have been popular pop songs. You know, Everything I Do It For You from Robin Hood. Perfect example. You know, all of those songs. Let me think. Now, there's The Ballad of Lucy Jordan by Marianne Faithful, I think her name is. I heard that song not from Marianne, but from another artist. I'm trying to think who it was. Was it Dr. Hook? Not sure. I always loved it because I like a story in a song, right? You know, something that tells a story of a particular character. You know, it could be their life's woeful at the moment. It could be their life's journey and the end. And, you know, there's a death at the end, whatever it is. And the Ballad of Lucy Jordan was in Thelma and Louise. I remember that. And I love that track, but I remember when I was listening to it, I mean, I've heard that before. I've heard that track, and it wasn't by this artist. Wish I could remember who the artist was. I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Hook. Not sure, though. Anyway, there's one for you. The Ballad of Lucy Jordan. Definite one that I discovered before the film was my dad gave me the soundtrack to Kelly's Heroes. And it was a war film. And I put it on, and there was a track on there called Burning Bridges, which is done by the Mike Club, I forgot what they call Mike Club Congregation. Yeah. I had to write that one down because I knew that this one was coming. And I loved that track. Thought it was really nice. Didn't really suit the film. It's a war film, but it talks about remorse. And later on in life, when I'm playing my music in my car, which isn't very often because I listen to talk radio more than anything, I'll listen to certain tracks that sort of like reflect my mood or my life. Burning Bridges is one. There's lots of things I've done in the past that I might, if I'd have had more time at the time, I'd have done it differently. Or if I'd have known what I know now, I would have never have done it that way. Some particular things like that I'd have spent more time with my father than spent time at work trying to progress my career. If I'd have known more that my work was like they were. You know, at the end of the day, they've got me nowhere. And all I lost was the time I could have spent with my dad. So Burning Bridges is one. Yeah, that's for definite. Now I remember going to the pictures and seeing Scrooged. And I really love the film. Everybody knows that that's one of my favourite films to play at Christmas. And they sang a song at the end, all of the cast. Bill Murray hamming it up as he always does, called Put a Little Love in Your Heart. And later on I found out that it was also released as a promo that year by Annie Lennox and Al Green. When I went into my local record store, and they were selling CDs at that point, they said that they'd just released it in a special deluxe case. It was a wooden case that when you opened it up, there was foam and a CD inset into this foam. And I bought it. And at the same time, I bought the vinyl album of Scrooged. And I remember coming away going, I really do like this track. I think it's quite great. It's going to be one of those ones I'm going to play each Christmas. So there's one. So thinking about films again from the 80s, I'm pretty sure that I played the end credits to Twins quite a lot that year. That's a track by Little Richard. Yeah, Little Richard. And I quite liked it, probably because it's quite a keyboard orientated track. And I remember my mum always liked Little Richard anyway. So that's one that I'm pretty sure I would have only have known about through the film, because the film's called Twins and the track's called Twins. And that's the same for the film The Muse that Elton John did the end credits for. I believe he did the music for it because it was his now partner, his now husband, whatever you want to call same-sex partners, significant other anyway. He was producing a film, so he asked Elton John to do the music, and he said yes. So he did a track called The Muse, and it's not really played very often because it's not really a song that Elton actually released as a single. He did release it as a single. I'm not sure in this country. He released it as a single in America. And going back a little bit further, I remember my mum playing the song Georgie Girl by the Seekers. And I didn't see the film for a long period of time. So I'm pretty sure that that's one to add. Because Georgie Girl was one of those strange ones, right? It would have been shown in the afternoon. I could have seen it, therefore, when I was sick. And I would have known about the track because of my mum. So it's one of those ones where, did I hear it before the film? Did I hear it because of the film? And that's one where I'm pretty sure it was because of the film, but I'm unsure. So that's why I'm leaving that one at the end. Hopefully that's enough. I think there, Bob, I've given you quite a few tracks that have, from my past anyway, that I've listened to. Take them as you will. If you've never heard of them, give them a listen. But like I say, there's going to be so many people that will come up with much better options than what I've just said. But do also remember that you discovered it from the film only, not as a single that came out. So when you're saying, if you were to ever come back to me and say, Take My Breath Away was definitely one you discovered through the film, I'm saying, how the hell did that happen? There's no way that wasn't on Top of the Pops, played on every record, on every radio station before that film ever came out. I'm pretty sure of that. Anyway, wonderful question. Thank you so much, and my salute to you. The next one is from Robert's Retro Gaming, and he's put, Dell, I have my usual problem of listening to your blog through the week in 15-minute chunks, and then I can't remember anything that I wanted to comment about. Continued best wishes, and I'll be listening to you again soon. That's all right. Do you know what I mean? It's better than not listening at all, isn't it, really? But I do want to make it clear that I don't watch channels like Robert's Retro Gaming and Wee Bob Art because they're supporters of my channel. I don't go off their channel because they didn't comment this week. It's not how it works. It's whether I've had the time to watch their channel. Now, you might find a trend is going on at the moment in regards to what I'm watching outside of my friends' YouTube stuff. And you'll see things like channels that I used to mention that are no longer being mentioned. And that could be for time purposes. It could be not because they've offended me, but because they've become samey, or there's nothing new for me to watch anymore. And so it's become less interest in me for me to continue. It's not like I don't want to support them, but I only ever read out channels that I've watched this week. And if the person therefore hasn't brought out a video this week, I can't mention them, and then on the Sunday. It's how it works. But I am a big believer of supporting all the people, that I've known. They're all gathering out there, trying to give us entertainment, knowledge, insights into their life, just like I'm doing with this blog. And you want people to watch it. So I can understand, if people tune off because I haven't mentioned them in a while. All I can say is it swings and roundabouts. How do you know that I'm not going to come back? Or you might be included that week. I hope whatever I do, I boost people's channels, their interest. So anyway, we get to Denny. Oh my God, well, we all know about Denny, so I'm going to need a drink. So dry. So let's start. It's got, hiya, mate. Great to catch up again Friday. Yep, he phoned me up on Friday. We had an hour and a half conversation. Bloody hell. Been a tiring week. Last Sunday, preparing for my 3-day trip to Llandudno, Monday, then driving the 100 miles there and unpacking in my room, then straight out for a bite to eat. Tuesday and Wednesday, the same. Out and about, enjoying the sun. Then back home Thursday morning, feeling depressed. Then straight back to work Friday, getting up at 4 in the morning. I was literally bugged and went to bed really early, but got up Saturday feeling rather jaded and wanted to go back to Llandudno. Absolutely love the place. It's a great way to de-stress and unwind. Yeah, and I said last week, Denny, it was great listening to what you were going to be doing, because it made me think, should I, think about leaving this house and just going away for a day, 2 days, just away, even if it's just a walk along the beach for half an hour, somewhere, like Bournemouth or something, and then travel back. But there's always my mother. I'm getting on better with my sister. Most people will know that I used to have a internal monologue chat about my sister where we weren't getting along, and things are a lot better. Where she could look after my, just pop in to see my mum that night. Things to consider, and knowing that that going to Llandudno for you has left you feeling you want to go back there must mean that you enjoyed it. And it makes me think, yeah, I possibly need to think about that as a life thing for me, especially if I want my heart to continue after the operation, i.e. not have the little things not stress me so much. So you continue. Are Ukraine as squeaky clean as they make out to be? The video showing men dragged off the streets to fight in a war not of their choosing is against their human rights. Let the politicians go to the front line and fight their own wars. Agreed. I really wish it was like the video of Two Tribes, with Zelensky and Putin putting boxing gloves on and saying, come on then, and whoever wins is the winner of it all. If that's how they want to go about it. I'm in two minds to answer about the rest, just purely on the basis that I don't think anybody's squeaky clean, but I don't know too much for me to have an opinion on whether people have been dragged off the streets to join in a war that they don't want to do, which is against their human rights. I'm sure that has gone on. I'm pretty sure you're right. That happened in World War II, happened in World War One, and I'm pretty sure that any war is exactly the same. Families have to think to themselves, do I join this or not? Do I want to back my country? Could I make a difference? And the others are forced into it. So they don't have a choice. I feel for anybody that's in a war, matey, is how I put that. You continue. As for our election, let's be honest. Labour needs to have a go. Can it be much worse than the Tories have left us with? The country is literally on its knees and needs a new way to look at our issues. Food banks are a disgrace in the day and age. It's not without trepidation, though, to certain aspects. And as much as I want to put it there, I'll be shadow banned again, no doubt, if I do. And I think this is the dilemma that we've all got to go through when it comes to 4th of July in England. But I've always said sometimes I've got to think about the bigger picture and my mother. And my downside of Labour is whether they're going to put up council tax. They could have the best policies in the world and the best intentions in the world, but if they're going to put up something that even pensioners can't guard themselves against, and they can't guard themselves against council tax, then they're going to be the worst hit. I'm still at the age where I can earn money. If things get really bad, I can cut back on things, take up a second job, whatever. My mother doesn't have that benefit. So that's a big, big showstopper to me, council tax going up. The Conservatives never even mentioned council tax as even an option. They've talked about everything else but council tax. But we know from how Wales is operated under a Labour leadership that they did do that in Labour in Wales. And it's not hard to think that one of the easiest policies that you could change will be to mimic something that happened in Wales in the UK. So yeah, it's totally altered my way of thinking. Conservatives and Labour, they're both as bad as each other. In the past 3 years, I've mentioned things where I think it's out of our control. The war in Ukraine has been out of our control. The pandemic was out of our control. Brexit was in our hands, and the politicians had to do what they could based on a result. I do know that there were lies and stuff through Brexit. I do know that when it comes to the Ukraine, we don't have to spend as much money as we're sending. But I think that Labour would do the same thing. If they were to be seen not sending as much as the other countries, it would make England look worse than it does at the moment. When it comes to the pandemic, would Labour do anything different? I don't think so. They're talking right now about their policies helping the economy. They would therefore have had the economy at the centre part of the pandemic, and therefore would have protected jobs like everybody else, and would have kept everybody at home, and the furlough routine would have happened as well. So it's a tricky one as far as I'm concerned. I think Labour are more, history has shown that they're more likely to borrow money than they are to tax us. But if they do that, we'll be taxed to the hilt paying it back. That's the history of Labour. So yeah, I haven't got much to say about it, matey, really. Going past all of that, anybody that's going on July 4th, don't not vote, because every vote does mean something. If you don't vote, then don't start moaning about how the country is. I don't want to hear, oh, I've got no money, my job is like this and all this. Because if I go up to you and I say, did you vote on July 4th? No, I didn't. Well, then shut the fuck up. Because it's going to be a bit like that, and excuse my French, but, votes are, it's a winning line system, which means it's the first person past the winning line wins. That's done by votes, so bloody vote. All right? You can then complain if your side doesn't get in, because at least you voted that side. That's what I look at it for as. As for the Euros, why can't people except England are loaded with lazy, entitled little boys who will win nothing? Yeah, I see that as well. Yeah. I think Steve's got a comment about that a little bit later on that I think rings the same sort of bell, so I'll probably cover that then. Thanks for answering my question on favourite sayings in films. I have one more. Which film does this come from? Why do they call you Lassie? Well, that's Porky's, isn't it? Because she goes, ow. she's having sex. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why they call you Lassie. Yeah. Looking forward to the new Rob Hubbard book that's coming out. Hope they do some more featuring Tim Folin and Martin Gorway. Wouldn't that be lovely? I think you've got your answer from Chris Abbott yourself on that. Unlikely, but never say never. I backed that book a year ago or more. So I'm not missing the money that it costs. It's an expensive book, but it's worth it. You can have it signed or unsigned. Whoever orders the book gets a huge amount of files, all of the tunes in SID format, all of the remixes that have been done in MP3 and FLAC, all of the promotional photographs are all there in digital format, given to you, along with a PDF of the book, plus the hardback book. Bargain. Like I say, if you're a big Rob Hubbard fan, and I must admit his name was up there like the gods, and as much as I love Ben Dalglish and Martin Gorway and the rest, Rob always seemed to me to be king. And it's only later on that people have started saying, oh yeah, but listen to this track, and Rob took some inspirational ideas from other tunes that were going on and that sort of stuff, which has put Rob a little bit lower. But as far as I'm concerned, a tune that's good is a good tune. So love it. Don't start going, who was the best, who was the worst, who did, it's just not worth it. Just enjoy the moment, the music. It's great. I love it. Question for this week. If you could put together a CD, your favourite C64 tunes. Oh, God, I knew that was coming. Jesus. Very easy, this. So what would they be? Knuckle Busters. Everybody knows that I love Knuckle Busters. Commando is just so infectious. So those are two Rob Hubbards straight away. Master of Magic, everybody knows the story behind Master of Magic. When I went into Codemasters for the interview, it was the week that Master of Magic was all being pulled together at Codemasters, and they were starting to get the duplication sorted and the cassettes into inlays. So that's for definite. Flimbo's Quest Song 2 is such an infectious tune, and I used it as part of my O-level for music. We had to do a tune that only had so many notes. I counted up the notes of Flimbo's Quest, had the same notes, same amount of notes, and I therefore did my own remix of it, and put the artist as the co-creator of the tune, because it was just an exam thing. You only had to declare where you got your inspiration from, or whether something was sampled from somewhere or whatever. I got my O-level. I got a B. That's right. And the rest is history. Just a catchy tune. Ghosts and Goblins. What can you say about that? I love the tunes in the arcade, but the C64 tune, as much as people grumble and say, how can you call it the arcade version of Ghosts and Goblins if you haven't got the iconic arcade tune in it? I digress. What a cracking tune. Ocean Loader 2. We all remember the days when we'd hit the play button, listen to the music that was while it was loading, and some of us even stopped the tape so that we could hear it on a loop. I mean, no brainer. Monty on the Run, the tune that was so stunning, it basically opened our eyes to what the Commodore 64 could do. As much as we loved Thing on a Spring, Confusion, Action Biker, all of those tunes, Monty on the Run was the one that said, oh my God, only an orchestra could play better. That's not changed. And how can we not mention things like The Last Ninja? which isn't an emphasis on one particular track, but the whole thing as a tune that plays all the way through the levels of the game, each one being a behemoth of a tune, and all put together you've got basically a storybook album. Brilliant. Crazy Comets is the first one that I thought was incredibly catchy, like a disco track. And when Mega Apocalypse came out and all the hype came out about the actual sound effects and music that was in that game, being a follow-up to Mad Planets and Crazy Comets, basically. Zap Magazine, I think, was the person that interviewed Rob Hubbard, and he tried to advise that he'd split the white noise channel that the Commodore 64 has in two to make it sound like there were four voices. And that made me go, a four-voice Commodore 64 chip? Oh my God. Give me it now. Give me it now. I want it now. It was like that. And what a track it is. I mean, it's got speech in there as well and everything. But I do love my long games. And if I was to think of some long games, Supremacy comes to mind. That's got a cracking tune. So therefore, though, is Enigma Force and a load of others. But yeah, Supremacy. There are so many others, matey, I could mention, but I think there's 10 there. Take that as you will. Like I say, that's an interesting question. What I've been asked, and I dare say if you were to ask me again next week, it would be a different 10. That's all I can say. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you so much, as always. Absolutely wonderful that you wrote your essay to me. I've read it out for the world. And just a reminder to everybody that Denny and I will be live on Thursday. And an advert has gone out about that on my channel. And we're going to be discussing the children's TV stuff that we watched in the lunchtime periods of our childhood. So sort of like a watch with mother discussion. But do remember, it's not going to be all about children's TV that we also watched after school, which would include things like Grange Hill and all of that. It is the lunchtime stuff. You know, Play Away, Play School, Pipkins, Button Moon. The list goes on. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there is a ton of stuff there that as kiddies we've got great room in our hearts for. So I'm hoping that that's a great success this Thursday. I'll put out an advert again this week. I'll put one out just before as well, the Thursday broadcast, and we hope that you'll come along. And it's an alternative to the election, isn't it, really? Go and do your vote, then come and watch Denny and Del Boy talk about Bagpuss. What a night. There you are. Can't say any more than that. So we moved to Carl Todd, and he's actually put 2 here, and I'm not sure which was the first one. Yeah, so I'm going to read the one that I think is first. He's put, "Hi Del, I hope that you and your mother are well. I missed your video this week. Thanks for as always for answering my questions. Some new questions for you. I just heard about a project on Indiegogo for the new Commodore 64 bread bin cases. It may not be of interest to many here, but it caught my eye because I have an Ultimate 64. And I always preferred the bread bin case to the C64C cases. Didn't we both? I was the same. As with many of these types of projects, a transparent case is available. I just wondered if you like the trend of transparent cases, or do you prefer a solid colour for the case for computers and consoles? That's an interesting question, isn't it? And there isn't really an easy answer, other than to turn around and say to you that it all depends on the shape of the console, really, and where it's going to fit. There's no point spending an extra 10 or 15 pounds on a console because it's got a transparent cover, if it's going to be under a dust cover for the rest of its life, or basically in a place that you can't see it. So there is a little bit of a, what am I going to do based on my own kit and caboodle and circumstances. But I can imagine I'd be very, very attracted by the clear cases. I love to be able to see the inside of a machine. And if it's tidy enough, it's gorgeous. You can put some lights in there. It makes it all neon-y. It's lovely. I've had a transparent PC before. It got scratched easy, though. We'll say that. Your second question. If you could go back in time to attend a premiere of any movie, what movie would you choose and why? Wow. Let me think. Premiere. So not in the public yet. It's where all the hobnobs would go and see the film as a first cut. Jaws. Jaws for definite. Once Upon a Time in the West. Definitely. One of my dad's and I's favourite film. I'd love him to be on the red carpet with me, going in and seeing that film for the first time. Oh! Rod Serling is a hero of mine, so Planet of the Apes. Oh, how could I not have Planet of the Apes in the answer there? That would be for definite. There's bound sure to be a lot more, matey, if I was to think about it. I did see Star Trek the Motion Picture when it first came out, and I do know that the history behind that film is that even Bob Wise wasn't happy with the cut of that film, and it was only later on that it was fixed, where he actually put his name to it and said it's a finished product. Otherwise, he counted it as unfinished film. Famous that story is. I saw Star Trek when it first came out over here. Saw Gladiator first day it was out over here. Yeah, there's a lot of films that I actually did see first day. I'm not sure if premiere means the Royal Variety performance of it with the Queen, because if that's true, Interstellar might be one. But a fantastic question. Thank you so much. Number 2, if you could go back in time to attend the premiere of any movie, what movie would you choose? Just answered that one. So 3, it's Glastonbury time again. I know that you went to Live Aid, but have you ever been to any of the big festivals like Glastonbury, Phoenix, Tea in the Park, etc.? I have. I went to one with Ocean at Nebworth. And I've been plenty of times to my local town's folk festival that happens to happen in near Little Bourton, called Croppedy. Brilliant. 2 days, folk music, sometimes big bands. Brilliant. I do like festivals. I never stayed in a tent though. Nah, never done any of that. 4, any recommendations in the Steam sale? Now, oh, that's a difficult one. So difficult, that one. And I'll explain why. What I like might be totally different to what you like. There's the biggie. And it's probably some reasons why I don't do top 10 lists and things, which might change. They're very popular on YouTube. But I'm going to tell you something that I do myself, and something that I've imparted my own knowledge on to Mamemeister even today. He's just bought himself an upgrade for his PC. Basically, it's an all-new PC with just a few bits carried across. whenever ever I've built a new PC, the first thing I want to do is play games that I couldn't have played on my old system. Now, his system was not that old that question would have been something that needed to be answered. He had a GeForce 2 2700, I think, which is a perfectly good graphic card, and he had an i7 processor, which was perfectly good as well, if a little bit old, a little bit cumbersome, etc., etc. With his new drive that he's bought as well, I would definitely consider going to the Steam sale and buying a couple of titles while the prices are low. Now, because it bought himself a new PC, I bought a game for him and said, here's a new game for your new system, and I hope you enjoy it. And I bought him a retro game that wouldn't stretch anything, but one that I don't think he would have probably have bought it, in a hope that he loves it. This is called Neo Sprint, and I've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. Championship Sprint, well known, Amiga version rewritten just recently, and Atari have taken it to bits, added a course designer, a few bells and whistles here and there, and has released it as Neo Sprint. So I bought him that, and I've said, for somebody who's a retro head, I hope this gets you great enjoyment. But if I was Mamemeister, what I'd be doing now is I'd be going to some of the sites that I've been mentioning just recently. One of them being Cold Beer. So his channel's called Cold Beer, and he does, whenever there's a sale, his top 40 sale tips with titles. And to be quite honest, watch as many as you can, because some of them are split into real-time strategy, first-person shooters, 3D, VR, racing games, betting games, etc., etc. And they're bound sure to have top 10s in every single one of them. So basically what I'm trying to say to you here is that be careful. Don't get into the trappings that I've done, that because it's cheap, buy it anyway and play it later on, because you'll suddenly get a collection of about 3,000 titles, and you'll never be able to catch up. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that. We're going to move forward in just a second. Oh, my cursor's so fast. It's there. And I'll be back in a moment. Sorry for that pause there, but I had to. Somebody came through the door, my mother, and I needed to get my thoughts together. So what was I saying? Yeah, whenever I've built a PC, I've then wanted to test it with games that my old PC couldn't play anymore. And if a sale was on, like there is now, this Steam sale's massive. And by the way, Good Old Games is also doing their sale at the same time. I would always look between the two channels, Good Old Games and Steam, and I'd buy the Good Old Games one first and the Steam one second if there was no price difference, because of the digital rights management. I'd much rather have the executionable that I can install than have the digital rights of Steam and have the ability to install it if any of them ever went bust. Not that I think that'll ever happen with Steam, although I have heard rumblings that Steam has got a high bidder to buy them as a company, which I hope doesn't happen. So I'm digressing a little bit here. So what I used to do, I used to look at titles that weren't A and just come out this year, and I would pick up stuff that was under a £5, and I'd pick up all the stuff that I'd missed, you know, Doom Eternal and all of this sort of stuff, because literally I didn't want them at full price, and I couldn't play them without having the settings lower. After I did that, I would then pick up stuff that interested me. They would be role-playing games, Vampire Survivor type games, indie stuff that are now below £1. You know, there was Wee Bob Art, and I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning this. I put a free code up on Discord, and he wanted to test to see whether any of them were still working. And one called Stealth Bastard, believe it or not, is there. I got that as part of a group of games that cost me literally a £5, and I got something like 10 games. But if you go to Steam now and look at that individual game, it's 97p. 97p. And it's got a Steam rating of 9 out of 10. Now, at the end of the day, you could get 10 games, 97p, which would cost you a tenner. And you've got 10 games, all like highly rated on Steam, that you wouldn't have looked at twice because it's not really your type of game, that you can now give it a go, and it's only going to cost you the price of a couple of pints in a pub. So there's one way of looking at it. Then there is the AAA games. Now, I usually, if I just built a new PC, would buy this year AAA title. And I'll do that because I'd want to test the card out, or the new machine out, to see whether it's really as slick as what people say it is. It's harder for me to buy an AAA game these days because as soon as a Steam sale is going on, the game is also probably on a PS5, and my mind would be going, do I buy that on Steam or do I play the PS5 version? The PS5 being optimized for that hardware. And therefore, sometimes you could be double dipping. So it is tricky. It's very, very tricky. The best advice I can really give is don't fall into the trap that Jambon and I have done. And that is, if a game looks so cheap, you buy it anyway. Because all of a sudden you'll have 3,000 games and you wouldn't know which one to play. You'll never go back to it, and it was a waste of money. So basically, you're just going to have a clutter of games you're never going to do anything with. And that's as bad as missing out on the bargain, really. So think about that. And then look on YouTube. There's some great cracking blokes out there. I'll mention one. His name's Cold Beer. Cold Beer. And every time there's a sale, he'll do top 40 games in the sale. Now, they won't be top 40 games, because after stuff that's in there, you'll go, nah, not my sort of thing. Don't want that shit. But I use YouTube along with another website that does what they call Steam Trends. And basically, it tells you whether the sale price this summer is the cheapest the game has ever been. And you'll tend to find, oh no, in other sales it's been cheaper. And when that occurs, you go, don't buy it, because it'll come down to that price that it was at before, and it would be cheaper then. Could be at Christmas, but at the end of the day, if you buy 15 titles in this summer sale, you probably don't need any more games until Christmas. So you've got a lot of thinking to do, but Cold Beer will steer you. The Trends site will tell you if it's been cheaper or not. And then there's your own, what can your system run, and what are you in the mood for, and what are you willing to spend. I could, while I'm doing this, just open up my Steam library and tell you what I bought. I think I'll do that. You just bear with me. Hopefully it won't cause a problem to the stream. Because you know what happens is, you open up Steam, it instantly tries to update, and then basically says it's downloading patches to the games that you've got installed. I don't want to do that. But I did buy some titles yesterday, and I'll tell you, I was in the mood for some space games, right? I love mining games. I love space games. I love games that will take me into somewhere else and will take a long time to play. And that means that I've got stuff that I can do till Christmas. Yeah. So bear that in mind. And the games I bought yesterday were Neo Sprint, because I bought that for Mamemeister for his new PC as a gift. I updated all of my Atari recharged range. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Atari have done a recharge range, which is all their old games reimagined. I don't buy them ever at full price. $9.99 for a game that you used to play on an Atari cartridge and all you've done is neon it. Crap. No. But if it comes down to £2.50, I'm buying it. So I updated my list of recharge titles and I've now got all of them. The space games I bought were Liberation, which is sort of like a homage to how games looked on the PC years and years and years ago, flat shaded things. So it's a lot like filled in Mercenary, filled in Damocles, filled in Starglider, that sort of thing. A game called Children of a Dead Earth. A game called Void Destroyer 2. And a game called House of the Dying Sun. All of those I bought cheap. And that's all I've done so far in the sale. I downloaded some demos in the last couple of weeks. Those demos have been Ocean Keeper, The Altars, and Reality Break. And before the sale ends, I will look and see whether there's anything else that I want, because there's bound sure to be some role-playing games that I know will have dropped. But do look at that. Oh, it's gone down 90% and it's got a strong Steam review. Don't trust totally the reviews. Some of them are bought and people have done reviews on YouTube channels just to bump up the rating. And always remember, if you've got a PS5 or an Xbox X and all of that sort of stuff, you might be better off buying it for the console, especially if it was designed for a console game anyway. So I hope that helps. I'm just going to close my Steam down now. There we go. Just closing down. There we are. And I'll bring up my notes again. So I hope that helps, because to be quite honest, it's very hard for me to do recommendations. I don't know what you like. So, but I think the deliberation I've given on what you buy when you buy it is sound. It's what I follow. If I can't afford it, I won't buy it. If it's something it's really cheap and I can afford it, I will. If there's something that's got a good playability that people are playing right now, it's in the sale, give it a chance. Especially as you can afford to do it now, and then if the game is not your type, you won't buy it, that type of game, ever again. It's the cheapest opportunity for you to do it right now. So thank you very much for that. I think that was the last question there. Apart from, he did do a second comment and said, just a quick update. If anyone is interested, there is a free PDF book about Amiga games that the people from the RGDS podcast have created. I don't want to put a link here in case it blocks the comment, but if you search for free Amiga book top 50 games RGDS, then you will find it. Thank you. Top tip. Thank you very much for putting that. I've read it out. I hope people follow that. I know that Thalamus have just done a new Amiga game. I put it on Discord, believe it or not. It's a rogue game. Looks very interesting. I'll see if I can bring it up. It was under 16-bit computers. Roguecraft looked amazing. And like I say, they've polished it up, and I do think that that's possibly a game to look out for on the Amiga. Very much so. Just going to bring up phone for in a little bit because Steve's comment didn't actually show on my list here. And we move on. We move to Ian Hill, The Ramblings, and my salute again for you, Carlton. And he's put, "Hi Delboy. Sorry you haven't been too good. Hope things will get better for you. I hope our live stream on Wednesday did help you. You bloody know well it did. Thank you so much. Without you, Ian, I don't think I'd have got through the last couple of weeks. That's the best compliment I can give. And I thank you very much, buddy. I know you made me laugh too, which was great, but sorry you have had to struggle all week. My best wishes to you for your Watch with Mother live with Denny. Also hope our live Wednesday stream will help you too. I watched The Three Doctors today and reviewed it for my channel. It's a wonderful 10th anniversary celebration story, very enjoyable, and made me realise how bad Russell T Davies's celebration stories for Doctor Who were last year. Troughton and Pertwee were outstanding, and it's sad to see Hartnell's last appearance, but glad he's there in his limited role. Hope your mother has been okay. My question this week is, do you have any bootleg steelbooks if they exist? Best wishes and have a great grand time." Thank you so much, matey. In regards to Doctor Who, couldn't agree more. This was at a time where the 10th anniversary, it was only 10 years in, and you're talking 1973, a totally different time, but a more enjoyable time, and one where I think that they really, really wanted to give quality for the money that they had. I think it also bodes well in the fact that the actors were just so iconic and great as well. Who knew that Patrick Troughton would end up being my favourite Doctor? Even now he's my favourite Doctor. And John Pertwee, who is just so charismatic, you just can't not watch him. And every word that comes out of his mouth, I believe. I really seriously thought that you could reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. Who knew that that's rubbish? Or should I say, doing that wouldn't do bugger all. But these were different times, and this is where I'm going. I'm in a quandary because I don't want to take away another 8 years' joy. I mean, I'm not 8 anymore. And if there's an 8-year-old out there that now idolizes this new Doctor, and I'm coming along going, it's not as good as it once was, and they cancel it, and other people are doing exactly the same thing, and the whole peer pressure means that they just go, well, nobody wants it anymore, let's just take it off, means that you're taking away an 8-year-old's enjoyment that they could be talking about in 20 years' time and saying what a great program that they had and how much fun they had with it. Now, I find it difficult that that'll happen, but I'm not an 8-year-old anymore. So, it's like that with me. And you can say I'm on the fence if as much as you want. But I was talking to Denny on Friday as part of our hour-and-a-half long chat, and I told him there are very, very few new and old Doctor Who series that I've watched that I've actually turned around and said, that story or that part in the story offended me. And there are 2 distinct stories in this Doctor Who where Russell T Davies's writing has offended me. And from that point of view, you've got to turn around and say, I'm as angry as anybody else about it. So with that note, I'm just going to end it there and just say, anybody that thinks it's brilliant, great. Anybody who thinks it's shit, great. If you want to talk about it, let's have a topic and a talk about it. Not a problem. I can air my thoughts and things with it. What I don't like to see is total badgering by YouTube channels that think that they are totally right and then basically all they're doing really is a campaign to get it stopped, because they're not coming up with solutions like, oh, if it had only done it this way, it would be so much better. They're coming up with reasons to cancel it in its entirety. I don't like those people. Sorry, never will. And with that, we move on. My salute to you, Ian. Thank you so much. And we've got LFC. Oh, my friend LFC. I've been watching his blogs now for a couple of years. He's got many insights into football that I just don't know. And it's nice that when the new season comes along, we can have a little chat about my team, Coventry, and what he thinks will happen this year, and whether the predictions he had from last year came true and all of this sort of stuff. But he's mindful not just on the football. He talks about the music, the films, the DVD pickups, his childhood, how work is going, just like me, basically. He's a mini me. There you are, NFC, you're mini me. Hope you like that as a tag now. Anyway, you've put, once again, a great blog, Del. You never seem to disappoint, unlike that useless sack of spuds, Gareth Southgate. Actually, a bag of potatoes provides more quality and variety than his tactics. See what I mean? It's brilliant, this. It just makes me smile. But what do I know? That New Order song you couldn't remember the name of is True Faith. Yeah, sorry, it was just my brain at the time. Brilliant tune. But of course, it's hard to ignore the impact Blue Monday had and still has, exactly. I bought both albums. I bought both as singles. I bought the 12-inch. I bought the reissue. I think it was called New Order 97 or something like that. It was called, True Faith 97 or something like that. Can't remember. But there are certain tracks that just stay with you through your life, and you remember the video to it as well. I remember the signing that was going on, and the fat blokes in sort of It's a Knockout type suits wobbling about, jumping up and down, and all this sort of stuff. It was just fun and manic. It was just great. Very talented and down-to-earth bloke. The Bernard Summer is one of the best Mancunians for sure. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, brilliant. And it was, I think it was Jim Jam that went to see the Killers, and they sang True Faith there. And they did a cracking track from the recording or the video that I saw footage of that concert. So nice to see homages to tracks that even he might have grown up listening to and decided to bring out as a track at a concert. Brilliant. Here's a bunch of questions. Not sure how much effort was put into these, but anyway, here we go. Oh, thanks. Put some bloody effort into it, matey. I don't want this, you forgot to blow the bloody doors off crap, Right, here we go. The NES didn't do too greatly here in Britain, but did you or your mates have experience with the system back in the day? What were some of the titles you can recall seeing or playing? And I have to say to you, yeah, it didn't get the coverage that it needed. I think most of my friends bought PC Engines instead of NESs. And they didn't buy many of them over here either. My friends didn't buy them. The NES came to light for me when I started to see them in cash converters. And I bought one. And then later on in emulation. So not much of an answer there for you, sorry. 2, if you were in charge of your own channel, what kind of programs would you have showing? E.g., classic British and US sitcoms, sci-fi or documentaries? Why does it have to be a choice of or? All of them, matey. I'd have all of my sitcoms that I've loved: Frasier, Cheers, Faulty Towers, Porridge, Open All Hours, Man About the House, George and Mildred. I'd have them all. You might as well just turn around and say, give me the network catalogue. I'll just create my own channel called Network and just put it out. Documentaries for definite. Love nostalgia. all the things that I'd love, I'd be putting in documentaries on TV, on movie, on major news articles, film composer soundtrack, biographies, everything. Sci-fi. Oh God, Blake Seven would be there. Doctor Who would be there. It's just a multitude, and of course, you say there's no films, so we'll keep the films out of it. But this is where we have our own physical media, and this is where we generate our own channel. Because whenever there's something that on the telly, if I've got time and I'm not falling asleep, I put my physical media on, and that then becomes my channel for the evening. If I've got a box set of Game of Thrones, I can split that down into 1 hour each evening for the whole of the week and go through that whole box set. And it like I say, it then becomes Del Boy's channel of mystery. Twilight Zone would be there. Everything, to be quite honest, that I ever loved. Some Watch with Mother stuff. You'll have to tune in Thursday to know what episodes I'll be putting in there, because I'd also be thinking about what other people would like to watch. Because I wouldn't just, although I'd make it centric to what I like, I'd also be thinking of you guys and what you'd like to see. So, yeah. Brilliant. Lovely question. Like that. Number 3. When you used to live in Manchester, did you visit places not too far away from the city? Like Wigan, Warrington, Leigh, or Preston, for instance? Went to Warrington, for definite. That's where my girlfriend's father had his business. We went to Chester a couple of times. I lived in a place near Altrincham, but lived in two distinct places. One, Didsbury, for the first year, and for the other 6 years, Northern Moor, which is basically like Northern, but it's got the word moor at the end. So there's a place called Sale, and there is a Sale Moor. There's a place called Northern Moor. There is Stockport, went there. Bolton, went there. I went to Bolton, believe it or not, on a blind date. It's the only time I went. And I remember I had to go past the Trafford Centre, the new shopping centre that had just been built. Europe's biggest shopping centre, it was labelled at the time. And I was going along the motorway to get to Bolton. And I never went back there. Never went to Liverpool. Went to Leeds. I went to Salford and Salford Quays. Went into the centre of Manchester a few times. Those are the key ones, I think. Yeah. Oh, and of course, whatever area Manchester United is, I went past Altrincham along a dual carriageway road, and it took you past PC World and WH Smith Do It All at the time. And if you'd have gone about another half mile up the road, you'd have got to Manchester United's football ground. So I did head up that way a few times because I was always going to PC World for something, even if it was blank DVD media. So yeah, funny times. But housing prices were escalating at the time that I went up there. I bought my house for 42,000 and sold it for 112, if I remember rightly. And that happened all in the space of 5 years. And that's for an area as bad as Northern Moor. It's not the worst place to live, Northern Moor, but it doesn't have the reputation of Salford, you know. So yeah, that was interesting and a bit of a mind thing there for me. And your last question, have you seen the 1957 film Hell Drivers starring Stanley Baker, William Hartnell and Sid James? Now, I have seen Hell Drivers, but I wouldn't have mentioned William Hartnell and Sid James. Didn't that have Patrick McGoohan in it? Yeah, it's Stanley Baker and Patrick McGoohan on sort of like driving along roads that nobody else would be crazy enough to drive along. I had a bloke who played an Italian bloke as well. I can't remember. It did have Sid James and William Hartnell, but Patrick McGoohan is more a bigger star and has a bigger part than William Hartnell or Sid James ever did in that film. But I don't remember it. Yeah. But oh my God, how long ago is that? Do you know what? You got me interested. I might watch that again because it's not an Ealing film or anything like that. It's just a crazy road movie, you know, with lots of explosions and driving mental along the roads. Yeah, I think I'll watch that again. Yeah, watch that, by the way, fellas. LFC's brought out a little hidden gem there. Hell Drivers. I do remember it. Yeah. If you can, we might talk about that next week. My salute to you, LFC, and we move to Martroid. And Martroid has bought. Okay, Del, here's a quick question for you. Can you name 3 decent vertical shooters that people might like to check out? Any system, any year. No hard rules there. But 3 from me would be Plutos, Xenon, and Hybris. All Amiga games, but that's just, it's the system I've got out at the minute. And I've been giving these a bit of a seeing to of late. Yeah. You mentioned Hybris, and I can't doubt you on that, because if you hadn't mentioned Hybris, I would have. So I'll mention Battle Squadron. Because that was equally as massive. Now, when I first got my Neo Geo, and I bought it as a co-owner with a friend. We couldn't afford the games, but it came with 3 games, and one of those games was Alpha Mission 2. That was a lovely shooter, and me and my friend Steve Baxter, who I called Dotty, used to play on that because he used to love these horizontal shooters. He used to love that Do Donchu, whatever it is, all the bullet hell type games. And we are talking 1991, 92. So of course, when you're considering what was out on the Amiga, like Battle Squadron and that, and then you looked at a game like Alpha Mission 2, you went, wow, this is slick. So yeah, Alpha Mission 2 impressed, but it's not fantastic. And I'm pretty sure that if you were to mention Xenon to people, even now, they'd say, yeah, that was a good game, but oh my God, it's clunky as hell. And Xenon 2 is all about the music, not the game itself, which was pretty dire. But we all have that nostalgia in our head where we go, yeah, but back in the day, didn't we think that was exceptionally brilliant? And I can't doubt that either. It was. I loved Xenon 2 when it came out. Played it to death. Look at it now and it's like, oh, do I have to play that? Nah, don't want to play that. That's boring. Slow. Cumbersome. Because we've got all the games that came after it that we can just play. And then on the Dreamcast, I played a game called Ikaruga. Yeah. That had those 3D backgrounds that rotated round and the normal little sprites that you were firing like I was talking about, those bullet hell games. And I think it's the one with the interesting mechanic where you could turn white or black. If you turned white, the white shots from the enemies went through you and only the black ones would hurt you. You turn black and the black shots would go through you, but the white ones would hurt you. And you constantly change colour between the two. And all of this combined with the 3D graphics that were going on behind, you were just basically weaving in and out and firing, and it was just an adrenaline fest game. Yeah. Love that game. Yeah, those are my three, matey. There are much better. People will mention Raiden. People will mention um, Tiger Heli. I could have brought Commando in, but that's a run and gun to some people. But as far as I'm concerned, it's horizontal. You're going up the screen and you're shooting a load of things. That's a shooter, isn't it? And it's horizontal at that. So yeah, I could have brought Commando in. Or guns, or gun smoke, or a few others that Capcom did. So yeah, I'm going to mention those three: Battle Squadron, Ikaruga, and Alpha Mission 2. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. And the last comment on here is from Jim Jam Movies, who said, "Thanks for watching, mate." And that was my pleasure. Last week I watched his channel. He did a big thing about the killers, and he did his stuff about what he picked up in the charity store. Top stuff. Absolutely marvellous. And that ends the comments. So we're moving now on to what I've watched on YouTube. Very dry after an hour and 45 minutes. And as you know, when I watch things on YouTube, it's what I've had time to watch on YouTube this week. And, I'm back at work. So if you're not mentioned, it's a time thing, or, as I said, take it as read. It could be that some things are a little bit samey and I just want to give it a rest for a couple of weeks and then come back, see if things have changed. But there's two that I always watch. They never change. They never cease to entertain me. They are This Week in Retro and Techmoan. So what was happening in This Week in Retro? The titles of the topics this week in This Week in Retro were Jonesing for Indiana Jones. Then there was Doo-doo, Doo-doo, Do-do-do-do-do-do, Killer Shark. So I think we know what that topic would have been about. And Clean That Dirty Floppy. Yeah, absolutely brilliant topics this week. Loved the Jaws Killer Shark topic because I played Killer Shark. It was a mechanical arcade game from my past in the 70s. So that was great. And a bloke who's actually made up a device where you can clean your floppy disks and get rid of all of the mold and the dew that might have built up because you put them in the garage. That was brilliant. Loved that. Techmoan did an interesting one as well. He did Candy TV. That's what it's called. Candy TV. Portable digital TV and radio. Bad idea done badly. So yeah, we've come through the years now where having a portable TV device or portable DAB radio with TV capability is pretty much now known as a pretty bad idea. Doesn't matter that you can play media from anywhere on it. The reception on these things are pretty atrocious. And the software they put in it, they take away features that you'd think were quintessentially needed, like brightness controls or touchscreens not there, or the ability to forward or go backwards. All sorts of stuff. And then there's the reception, because they can't exactly bring massive tuners into these things. So, yeah, they really are a nonsense thing these days. But it was great to watch. And it was great to hear his deliberations. Then there was a episode I watched from a guy called Nostalgia Nerd. He did an educational piece called Why is 1080p HD? That's the question. And it was interesting because half the stuff that was in there brought back my coursework for CompuTeach, where I learned all about the different resolutions that graphic cards came out with for EGA, VGA, SVGA, XG-VGA, and all sorts of others, and their refresh rates and how they refreshed on the screen, and what happened when LEDs came along to when it came to CRT, which has a natural anti-aliasing feature in it, which you have to have built into an LED, and all sorts of other stuff. It was interesting, definitely worth a look. my friend Denny sent me a channel called Jacko TV. Jacko TV has basically gone to the bootleg copies of Spider-Man, the TV series from 1977 with Nicholas Hammond. And he's brought them up digitally, but he's put them through a remastering process. So there is a increase in resolution, and so the picture looks a lot better than the Pirates. Saying that, there's a lot of blurriness. But I would say it was possibly the best way to see Spider-Man, the 1977 TV series. Then there was Super Void Cinema. As soon as I'd finished with one Spider-Man, there was another Spider-Man, and it was Super Void Cinema. He did an article on cancelled movies and other scripts. He actually read out the scripts and storylines to stuff that was going to be made into films, never happened. Plus the backstory of how Stan Lee was going around selling anything to do with Marvel and try and get Marvel some money. So that was great. Then Stez Sticks Fix, who you know is one of those people channels that I watch where he repairs things. He was given a little tiny TV in Jurassic Park wrapper, no bigger than your thumbnail, and it plays things on a loop. And it was broken. He took it to bits. There was hardly anything in it, but we came away with the conclusion that the blob chip, the chip that was at the center of the CPU for this little device, they call it blob because it's got a resin over the top of it. Something underneath that resin was broken, so he couldn't get to the thing that he needed to fix the problem. So that was unfortunate, but it was still a great video to watch. And then we've got LGR. He's celebrating 15 years of his channel, and he wanted to say to us just how the retro industry and just how things have changed in regards to going to thrift shops, what hardware we can buy, what things are being offered to us on YouTube, what things are still annoying us about YouTube, all sorts. So that was brilliant. Really enjoyed that, and I definitely would recommend that one. Now I had to pause again because I just realised that I didn't read out Steve's Gaming's comment because it didn't come through on YouTube. So just to let you know, Steve, I'm going to put it right at the end. I'll try not to forget because we're right in the middle of the watched on YouTube at the moment, and it'll be part of my closing comments. So Steve's Gaming, definitely you're going to get a mention from me, matey, and you're also going to be at the end for your comment as well. And I hope that puts a smile back on your face. I do apologise. Blame YouTube, blame me. It's a combination of both a little bit there. So we've just gone past LGR and the stuff that I've watched of my friends that do movie stuff. So we've got Nige, Rock God 2004. That's his channel. He did an unboxing of some vinyl, which was Avril Lavigne. Quite interesting. Loads again, a different coloured vinyl and all of that sort of stuff. If that's your sort of thing, absolutely brilliant. Like I say, I'd love to be able to collect vinyl as well as the films and games and everything else. Just can't. It's quite an expensive hobby to get into. But I know it brings great joy to Nige and great joy to a number of other people. And to be quite honest, I love vinyl myself. So it's absolutely worthy of people, if they're thinking of a new hobby and have got the collateral, to have a little go with that. So that was Rock God this week. Euphoria Pictures, he did a Suicide Squad unboxing. There's special unboxings that he does of boutique labels, which I wished I could have bought at the time, but never was able to. He opened up a Suicide Squad, which is a gorgeous box set. Would have cost in the £80 to £100 bracket, which would have included the 3D Blu-ray, the DVD, the 4K, booklets, holographic covers, steelbooks, and posters and cards. So well worth the money, but I just never had the money at the time. I'd love to have in my collection just one which would have been a Spider-Man movie. But if I remember rightly, when it came out, it was $120 plus the postage, plus the tax. And on eBay, the prices are inflated to the point that I just can't afford it. I'd so love that. That'd be one of the sort of like crowns of my collection, if you see what I mean. Anyway, he did Suicide Squad unboxing, and then he did some more unboxing of random 4K and DVD editions that people have sent him over the years and what's in his collection. Euphoria Pictures, what can I say other than it's definitely one to sub to like Nige. The quality is just just second to none. And he always wants to help people in sourcing films that he's got in his collection that you might not have. Trouble is, it's always the price with me. Just can't do it. Then we come to Ian Hill, the Ramblings, my mate, who I do a live stream with on Wednesday. Oh my God. Ready for this list? Here we go. Top 5 Michael Jackson, top 5 Miles Davis, top 5 ZZ Top. These are all albums. Kex 2 and Charity Shop Pickups. The Crazes film review. X-Files Season 2 Episode 2 TV review. Gift box unboxing. And live with me on Wednesday. Plus a couple of others that I just couldn't fit in the bloody page, mate. That's how much you do. My God. If that doesn't entice you to sub, I don't know what will. Great bloke, just got to a milestone. Was it 900, buddy? You're up to such a well-deserved set of subs you got there, matey. And I know you always try and help my channel, growing a lot slower than yours. But hey, I'm doing capsule reviews. I'm doing everything I can. And it's immense fun doing something new on my channel, and I'll keep doing them as long as they're fun. Then we've got Playtendoguy. That's my mate Pete. He was the person who got me onto the movie chat circuit at least about a year or so ago now. He did some unboxes of With Nail and I, Crimson Peak, Purple Rain. There's just 3 of them. There was one other. All deluxe box sets, all that come out in the last couple of weeks. Definitely worth a look. He'll tell you about the film, do an unboxing and show you what it's like. You can make your own mind up on whether it's worth the 30 or 40 quid for the box. And he'll even tell you if they're on sale in HMV at the moment. So definitely worth a look. And then there is Mondo Chelovic Movies, who I've gotten to have quite a little bit of a chat with him recently on Ian Hill, the Ramblings channel. Such a great guy, very friendly, big friends with Nige. I've always been a little bit backwards at coming forward speaking to him because I look at him as a bit of royalty, I'm like, we're not worthy type thing, which he shouldn't be really. But it's my little joke every time I see him now. I said, I'm not worthy to speak to you. Why have you come here? Oh, my God, I'm going to keep stum now. Which I never am. But it's my little in-joke with him. He did a part 2 of his Vinegar Syndrome collection. Now, that's where I've been talking about boutique labels. Boutique labels are labels that bring out special editions of movies and put them in deluxe packaging. Vinegar Syndrome. I've only got one Vinegar Syndrome in my collection, which is Showgirls, which is gorgeous. But Vinegar Syndrome costs an absolute fortune to buy and actually post to us. So you not only have the price of the boutique label box set itself, but there's the tax and the postage to get it here as well. So unfortunately, even when they have their sales, it's just well above the bracket that I can really afford. If we're talking about money all the time, just think a moment when you get to the point of the trailers and I show you what I've bought this week. They must come to a couple of hundred every week, what I'm buying. I immensely love doing it. There are weeks where I just can't afford it. But then when we get to the end of the month, there's very little left in the pot for me to put by to buy one of these Vinegar Syndromes or boutique labels that Keith at Euphoria Pictures does. And that concludes what I've watched on YouTube, along with some of my friends that do movie stuff. We now move to your YouTube. And I used to call it your YouTube because my channel was mostly retro and nostalgia and computer based. And these are all of my friends that have got channels that I wish you all to sub to if you're into the retro computers nostalgia bracket. And we start off with Down the Rabbit Hole. Yes, he's done a Vancouver Retro Expo 24 walk around because there was a convention around there, and he talked about the pitfalls of those conventions. Very entertaining half hour that was. He did something that I've done, which is bought something and it's fell out of my pocket. You know what I mean? And then I've had to buy it again. Oh, don't get me, don't even go there. I've done that. And he also did a shout out that Streets of Rage 4, which is a game, a remake of a game called Streets of Rage that came out on the Genesis. It's up to its 4th incarnation. Is now a free game on PS5 if you're a member of their PS Plus membership. So don't take too long. I think you've got till today to get it, because tomorrow is July and it's part of the monthly pickup of free games. So then we move to Robert's Retro Gaming, and oh my god, here we are. We're like Ian Hill, the Ramblings. You ready for this? So gaming royalty from Robert's Retro Gaming. He did Hardcore Minecraft episode 32 and Minecraft episode 116. Bloody hell. Dwarf Fortress episode 9. Commodore 64 gameplay of Druid and Kicks. ST gameplay of Amazing Spider-Man and Bubble Bobble. See how much Spider-Man cropped up this week? Is that cropped up exactly the same time as I was watching the TV stuff? Eerie, that. 8-bit gameplay on Championship Lone Runner, episodes 9 and 10. SNES gameplay on Run Saber. And ZX Spectrum's Monty is Innocent. Oh my god. And others that I probably couldn't fit into the gap. Man, slow down. You know, get out there. Start watching my blog instead of bloody recording stuff. What can I say to you? Love you, mate. Hope you get some subs. Keep doing that stuff, matey. You cheer me up every week. Then there's Colin Jones. He did his blog, episode 71. And he's doing his Tubers High Score Challenge on Battle Circuit. Where's my comment from you this week, Colin, you bastard? No, only joking. He mentioned me in his blog this week, only because I got a pronunciation wrong. This is coming from a Welshman. What can I say? Love you, mate. Thanks very much for all you do. Keep that stuff coming out. When am I going to get a go in your swimming pool, you bastard? Right, we move on to 20th Century Gaming. There was Commodore 64 Live, where he does loads of different Commodore 64 games that people shout out and ask him to play. And he played a game in a one-off episode called Retrograde, which is a little hidden gem he calls for the Commodore 64. Both entertaining streams. Go back and watch those. Definitely worth it. Then we've got Steve's Gaming. And as you know, I'm going to read out his comment at the end of this. He's back, and he did Planet Crafter episode 42. And I bet the little bastard's got episode 43 out by the time I read this out and you're watching this. He's having immense time with Planet Crafter. I do see from Steve's strains on keeping the channel up, doing Planet Crafter, and I totally get that. All I can say to you, matey, is look, we've really, I can only speak for me. I've totally enjoyed your episodes on this. Any time that it becomes a chore, stop. There is always an opportunity for you to go back. You don't have to uninstall it. And there are an immense amount of games out there that I'm sure that you'd want to play. And as far as I'm concerned, or as immense fun as later on as I want you to get to, because there's going to be technology that you're going to go, why didn't I have that at the beginning? And I want to see you moan and die from oxygen starvation. I also don't want to see you thinking that this is a chore. I'd love to be able to tell you how to do things, but you've also said no spoilers. So I can only give you the tips. And those tips will be on things that you keep missing, even though you put your cursor over them every bleeding episode. You don't read the whole thing and you keep going wrong. I'll correct you as best as I can. Watch Steve's Gaming. It is a must. It is a laugh. Jokes are plenty. You'll be shouting at the screen to him, telling him, "You missed it, you bastard. It's just over there." You'll be like that, like I am. You're such a great channel, mate. You're such a nice bloke. You're just too good, you bastard. So that's my bit with Steve's Gaming that I always do. We move on to Seb's Place. He did 2 videos this week. His quality of his videos now is up there with the people that do the best. Do you know what I mean? The editing is great. The information inside it is great. There's some jokes in there. Basically, I'd like to say that he learnt well from me. Really, what can I say? It was all my doing that he got as good as he did. And that's if he's not smiling at that, I don't know what it is. But he did 2 videos this week: SNES games on the power system for the letter K, and a sort of a informational film called Loading is Fun, a Spectrum retrospective, which I was surprised about, really, because as much as I know that loading games on the Spectrum was slow, just like it was on other computers, and that there was some innovative things that they did, like drawing pictures, playing tunes, even playing games. The Commodore 64 had a much slower system, and it also had the ability for you to play games. There was Invader Load. You could play tunes, make tunes from scratch, like Hubbard's Mixer Load, Rob Hubbard's Mixer Load. There was music that played in the background for certain games. Some of those loading tunes are considered SID classics to listen to. So just like the Spectrum with its pictures and so forth, there was a multitude of flashing images, sprites going across the screen while games were loaded that were on that system, and probably far more because the 64 data set only loaded in at a certain speed, and even with speed loaders, they didn't match the Spectrum's loading, which was far, far faster. And lastly, but not least, my mate Mamemeister, who did a live stream on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend that because I had my own live stream. And he did his Friday Waffle, which I call the Friday Waffle Travel Edition, because for the last 2 weeks he's travelling to his girlfriend's and he's decided that he's going to do a waffle while driving. Don't worry, it's all safe. He's not looking at the camera. He's just talking into his phone while driving along. I think I know his route now to his girlfriend's house. I think I'd be able to do it if I was up there. Brilliant. And he was talking on Wednesday, because I watched it in a rerun, about his new PC, which is why I bought him a game for it. And it was interesting because he was bringing up things that if he'd have asked me, I could have answered for him. Because he was saying, my new camera picks up light, and every time I try to do something in OBS or something, the light that comes from the monitor fleshes me out. So basically it's overexposed. There is something in your browser called dark mode, which turns everything black. That'll help you. Then there was other things like getting the volume levels right. And he was saying that he couldn't test unless he was streaming. You can actually set up a streaming scene in OBS, duplicate it, and instead of hitting stream, you could hit start recording, test it, and play it back, and you'll have your levels correct. All little snippets that I've learned that I was shouting at to say, why didn't you ask me, you bastard? I could have told you all this. But it's immense fun. And you know what? I'm so jealous because he's now obviously got a new PC. His new job gives him a new car. Things are going well for him. He's enjoying life. And he's just about to go off to NERG and all sorts of stuff. And here I am wallowing in my own miserableness of a heart operation and crap that's going on at work and boring things going on in my life that you guys just love to listen to. One day, I will be better. And that's everything. Absolutely everything here. I'm going to show you what I bought this week. On top of that teleprompter. And then I'm going to read out Steve's comment to end it all with. And I don't mean end it all by slitting my wrists. So, stuff that I've bought. We usually change to Galaxy Cam, don't we? I wonder if it's still on. There we go. This isn't unwrapped, but I did watch it this week. Clute. You'll know that Donald Sutherland died about a week or so ago. Clute is one of my favourite films of his with Jane Fonda. A great sleuth pick. Then slowly and surely the Disney stuff is starting to come through. Andor is now here. That's the Star Wars TV series that's on the Disney Channel. That's brilliant to watch. I'm looking forward to that because although I've got the Disney Channel, I fall asleep. So maybe putting the disc in and having it uncompressed will be better. Then there's The Burning. Nigel and Keith have all been talking about The Burning. Mine came with a slipcover, so I was very happy with that. It's a film I do remember from the 80s. I do remember it around the time of Friday the 13th and the slasher films. I do remember enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to watching. No, sorry, I have actually watched it. I watched it Friday night. And I had immense fun watching that. The Steelbook of Cobra finally came through along with Tango and Cash last week. Don't know why this one cropped up a little bit later. Cobra, not the best of films. Not Sylvester Stallone's pride and joy or high point in his career. No. Entertaining, yes. My mate Steve Baxter, who I call Dotty, one of his favourites. Oh my God, he used to go on and on and on about Cobra until we were going to the point of saying, you do know you're a deaf bastard liking that film, don't you? We used to keep saying that to him. This finally turned up as well. King Kong X Godzilla, the new Empire. Not to be confused with the more enhanced and better Godzilla film, Godzilla X, which we're still waiting for physical media on, and you can watch on Prime, I think. Not sure on that. Prime, pretty sure that's the steelbook of it. Nice looking steelbook, glossy. Don't know what. I did watch the film. Nah, it's a bubblegum film. And then I got a special offer on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I've got two versions of this, two different covers. So Ghostbusters Afterlife, the one from HMV, which I got cheap because I had a voucher. And then the one I got from Amazon, which was full price, slightly different cover. Probably get rid of one of those covers at some point. And then the one that I'm so looking forward to watching tonight after the football, it's called The Moon. And there's a trailer at the end of this just to show you why I'm excited about this. Apparently it's got some great write-ups. This is a gorgeous looking steelbook. Reminds me a bit from the blurb on the back about The Martian. It's apparently another country finally gets to go to the moon and is isolated on there. So it sounds very much like a survival film. And that ends that. So we'll go back to camera view just to read out my friend Steve's comment. Let's hope it's worth it after I've mentioned it so many times. Got to go to Discord, and here we are with it. And I'll expand it out because it's quite big. And he's put, "Hi Del, hope you're feeling okay. Looking at your news, well, Farage, what can I say? He's a fascist and a grifter, and only morons vote for him. Reform is a joke for low IQ knuckle draggers and racists." I'm wondering whether this might have got stopped because of some of the language in it. Not that I'm bothered by it. You're quite right. You know, you got your own opinion of it to say, and everything you've read there pretty much sums up what I thought. As for general election, it cannot come and go quick enough for me. I want those corrupt, lying, scummy Tories gone. Quite frankly, anyone still voting for them after the last 14 years of cuts, austerity, shit in the rivers, and intense lying and corruption. I've been around since the early 60s, and quite frankly, this government is the worst I've ever known. On to football. See what I mean? Brilliant. It cannot end fast enough for me. Sick of it already. And do you know the biggest problem with our team? The hype. All of "it's coming home" shit never ends. The thing is, our team is average, mediocre, but people expect them to win. It won't happen. Never. We've been shit for decades. Now, and changing the manager will never fix that. We should temper our expectations and drop the "it's coming home" nonsense. Okay, rant's over. Question for you. So, my opinion of that is that I don't think I wouldn't use the words never. I do think we ought to drop the "it's coming home" thing because it does raise expectations. But surely we would have been saying football's been around since the 1890s, 1880s, or even earlier. The World Cup's been around, since before the war. There was 30 or 40 years of England never winning it then. I'm sure that when England went into that, it was all England will never win the World Cup, and they won it in 1966. So there's all to play for, and all a possibility where we might. But I do admit we are arrogant in our belief that we are the best. I do believe half the time the managers are not at fault. It's prima donna players. I don't know what. I mean, I don't care how many goals Kane's put in. He's got that sort of a aura about him that seems to make me think, I'll play if I want to. If I don't fancy it, I'll just jog around the pitch a bit. Now, that might be a disservice to him, but there's certain players that I can see are hungry, and there are other players that I just see dotting about as if it's, I'm having a bit of a run around, I'm getting paid for it, I've got millions watching me because it's a World Cup, blah, 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 blah. But as far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't be on there if you're not going to give your 100%, and I don't see 100%. Anyway, you got a question for me. Did you ever lend games, books, or films to someone and never get them back? Or you got them back in a bad state? I did, and it's the reason I stopped lending people things. Nothing annoyed me more than getting a book back and someone had drawn over the back. No, it's not yours. Take care, mate, and love to your mum. Yes, matey, I did lend. No, I didn't get it back. Did I ever get it back in a shocking state? Yes, a couple of times. Did it stop me lending them? No. I don't know what it is. There's something in me that just basically says, oh, go on. Life's too short to worry about the fact that you knackered up a £10 VHS tape, or you defaced a book because you spilt your coffee on it, or whatever. I would have expected them to replace it, but sometimes when people borrowed it, it would be something that you can't replace. And then I just felt bad about it. I felt angry about it for a couple of months, and then a couple of months go by and I'd be going, life's too short. I'd rather have you as a mate than lose my friendship with you. But I do look at my life in the past and see that with certain friends, I was only around because I lent people things. It wasn't because they liked me. It wasn't because they thought I was knowledgeable or they were interested in what I had to say. It was because of what I could spend on them, what they could borrow from me. So it can leave me a little bit in a bad way when I think about it, because nobody likes that feeling of being used. But will I ever stop buying you, Steve, a game on Steam? Will I ever stop me from lending something to a friend, next door neighbour, whatever, tools to the shop the next door? No. Because I'm hoping that they'll do me a service back, I suppose. A lot of people, somebody mentioned to me in one of the chat channels that they'd counted up how many things I'd sent to Nigel. Apparently it was up to number 25. And I was going, right. And he put me down as his favourite fanboy. And I'm going, his favourite fanboy? Nigel's a friend. Does this guy who mentioned that count up how many pints he's bought, and then go up and say, "Oh, you must that guy over there must be your greatest friend. You bought him 25 pints in the last 3 weeks." Bollocks! If I want to cheer somebody up, if I see that they're in a bad way and I can turn a frown upside down, I'll do it. And that's my rant over, really. I am generous. I'm over generous. That money could go towards doing something for my mum, but I do stuff for my mum all the time. So don't worry about that. And if anybody's wondering, my mum is perfectly okay this week. She's much like last week. Her hearing is getting worse. She's admitted it herself. She won't do anything about it, but she has said, yeah, my hearing's getting worse, and I ought to do something about it. I tell her what to do, and she goes, I ain't doing that. So with that bombshell, I'm going to say goodbye until next week. I didn't do much this last week, other than the live and this blog. I will do a capsule review. I'm going to set up this teleprompter thing that I talked about and have a little play. And just see whether it makes any difference. If it doesn't, then it didn't cost me anything other than the stand. The stand will come in handy. I could probably use that for doing a walking, talking blog, being as it's got rubber legs. Or I'll do something in the garden. And with that, I'm going to say salute, and hope to see you next week. I've never mentioned please like and subscribe. You're never going to get that out of me. But if you can pass on the word to people, please do. Be really helpful for me. And I'll see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye-bye. And I almost forgot the trailers, didn't I? Bloody hell. One of these days my brain will be there. So let's quickly cut back to media playback. I'm going to turn off the sound, and hopefully you'll still stay around for the trailers. Here we go.
This summer, if you're planning to go camping, don't. If you're looking forward to midnight swims, don't.
Sneak on back to the campsite. Get some matches. Build us a hot fire. Don't be long.
And if you're thinking about being with someone where no one can see you, don't. Because this summer, A Legend of Terror isn't just a campfire story anymore.
They say he smashed his way through the bunk room door, just a mass of flames. Burn alive! Fry
5 years ago is about to happen again, and again, and again. The Burning. Society is breeding a new kind of criminal. It's also breeding a new kind of cop. Meet Cobra. He does the job nobody wants.
Did you use unnecessary deadly force?
I used everything I had.
Do you know you have an attitude problem?
Yeah, but it's just a little one. You think you would recognize me if you saw me again?
The tall one?
Yeah. The one that wants to kill you.
Do what you have to do to get a lead on this maniac.
And if I find him?
Do what you do best.
Stallone is Cobra, the strong arm of the law.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
All dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right, well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
Better question is, what's inside of it?
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill by fear itself.
Like, literally scared to death?
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Can I be of any help? Melnitz in uniform. Yes.
If there's something strange, if there's something weird, what are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Heads up. All dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
For centuries, there was harmony. The Titans were the guardians of nature, and the great apes became the protectors of humanity. We've discovered a signal. She can feel it. Kong, Godzilla, they can feel it too. Something is coming. Something even they're afraid of. You feel like going for a ride?
Thought you'd never ask.
Just try not to swallow your tongue.
What?
Oh my
Is that a mini Kong?
Oh my god.
That's not just a signal. That's a call for war. What is that?
Kong can't stop this on his own.
He won't be alone.
The last time those two met up, it was almost the end of Kong.
They don't have to like each other. They just have to work together.
Now I have seen everything.
We've made some minor augmentations.
Oh.
It makes Korea the second country in the world to land a spacecraft on the moon.
Sending speed, 1 meter per second.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Landing!
No!
Commander!
This is astronaut Hwang Sonu. I will now commence the main mission.
Approaching main mission area.
I just extracted ice.
Bring your astronaut back to the command module as soon as possible.
Send Hwang back up. A massive meteor's falling!
Get to the laser ASAP!
Reset and reboot command module software!
If this isn't successful for whatever reason, there won't be any more docking attempts.
No! Requesting meteor shower's impact trajectory!
Fire! Fire!
Warning! Orbit deviation!
Request for permission to dock boarding hull has been rejected.
Sunwoo, you need to hurry!
Warning! Warning!
And there we have it. Sorry, I nearly forgot the trailers. But the moon, really looking forward to watching that tonight. So those were the trailers that because I've bought stuff this week or what I've watched this week. The moon is one that I'm watching tonight. So after the football, that'll be what I'll be there. And I'm hoping that I will see you all next week. Like I say, apologies for all the stopping and starting and all that sort of stuff. It will get better. Salute. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.